Hello members and associates of the Australian Association of Psychologists. I'm Paul Stevenson, your president, and I've been asked to address you in response to a video you may have seen recently by Francis Mirabelli of the Australian Psychological Society. I'd like to respond to some of the sentiments raised in that video. Firstly, I have to say that it didn't actually say much at all. It seems that the APS is perplexed about where it's going at the moment, and particularly in relation to the Mental Health Task Force Review, the Medicare Task Force Review. There's a lot going on just at the moment in psychology, and particularly trying to decide what is the way forward. Where do we go from here? We have for a long time now been encumbered with the divisive two-tier Medicare rebate system. There's never been any justification for this. There has never been any ethical reason why one group of psychologists ought to be superior to another, and particularly be able to get an extra payment from the taxpayer for the same services that are provided. We've been campaigning against this since its inception in 2006, and particularly since 2010, when the national law changed and we brought in areas of practice endorsement, which in some way were to justify why that actual extra payment was paid to people who had a so-called superior status. And so in the AAPi, we're very, very determined to get all psychologists back onto a level playing field. And so we strongly oppose the two-tier system. We always have done. We have always advocated for a single tier, and we've always advocated for the benchmark on licensing for psychologists to be full registration with the Psychologists Board of Australia, and for areas of practice endorsement to be completely abolished. One of the reasons for this is that there is no standardised approach to gaining an endorsement. Many of you will have been told that if you've got a master's degree in clinical psychology or a doctorate degree in clinical psychology, you can be endorsed by the board in that area of practice. But that's not a specialty. There are no specialties in psychology. And in fact, in the allied health system, psychology is the specialty. And therefore, with no access to subspecialties, the whole concept of endorsement is thwarted. It is a quasi-term. It's a quasi-legal term. It's not a legal term. It's just a quasi-term to denote that one group of psychologists has superior qualifications to another. But what we've found in the AAPi is that that simply doesn't apply. That in most cases, people with endorsement do not have the educational qualification to be there, to have that endorsement. We did a study of the Psychologists Board of Australia's practitioner database and found that in fact 43% of those who were listed to have an endorsement did not have the master's or doctorate degree which the board sets down for that. And one of the reasons for that is that many of the people with endorsement were grandfathered into that by virtue of an historical membership of the APS Clinical College. Now, some of these people have no more than a 3-year BA behind them. And so when you get a system which is based on a non-standardized measurement of competence, that's wrong for a start. But then if you attach a 50% higher rebate, Medicare rebate to it, then you've got a fraudulent situation. A situation where some people are taking more money from the taxpayer's purse than others based on a non-existent measure of superior competence. So here's the AAPi position. Let's abolish once and for all the two-tier Medicare system. Let's abolish endorsement, and let's return a license to practice to the original benchmark, which is full registration with the Psychologists Board of Australia. We do this sincerely, and we hope that you will join us. As Francis Mirabelli said in her address to you, that the funding model's not working. We need to think outside the square. We need to adopt a whole different funding model. Look, let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. We've got a good funding model in Medicare. It has sustained access to many of our community members who would not ordinarily be able to see us, and it has done so for many years. Let's not destroy that system just because the APS can't keep its two-tier dichotomy. Let's just tweak it just a little bit, and dispense with the two-tier system, dispense with endorsement. It was never a specialty area. It was never anything than a quasi denotation, if you like, of who's superior to who. But ladies and gentlemen, in psychology, as the APS Code of Ethics spells out quite clearly in itself, no psychologist can set out to claim superiority over any other. And so here's a situation where the APS even breaches its own code of ethics. I urge you to join the AAP. Our membership has just gone ahead exponentially in the last 6 months. We have quadrupled our membership and revenue base, and we are now in a position to offer you a real service in levelling the playing field for psychologists in this community, and also in gaining better access from the community to our practitioners. Thank you for your time. Bye then.